So first up, let's get you more updates coming in from the Middle East, because it's been 11 consecutive nights that the United States has continued with its military strikes on Iran. And now President Donald Trump says that Iran is under immense pressure, but is still not ready to engage with the dialogue or have a deal signed between them. Speaking on the ongoing tensions, President Trump has claimed that Iran wants to negotiate, but keeps changing its position every time he talks progress. He's added that in his view, Tehran is not yet prepared to reach for an agreement. So he is now saying that there could be no deal until Iran is ready, and saying that Iran is actually getting hit so hard. Let's listen in what President Trump has to say. And he seems to be questioning Iran's readiness for talks.
This is with this skirmish we have with the Islamic Republic of Iran, and I call it that because, let me tell you, they're getting hit so hard, and they want to make a deal. But I say they're not ready to make a deal, because every time they make a deal, they want to change it and everything. They're not ready. They'll be ready very soon.
Well, that is coming in from President Trump, saying that they are desperate for a deal, but they are not ready for it. And they have been getting hit so hard. And this is coming after repeated strikes consecutively that we are now looking at when it comes to the U.S. military forces, have been trying to degrade Iran's military, and mainly when it comes to southern regions of the country that have come under repeated attack. And as far as Iran is concerned, it has also been carrying out retaliatory strikes, and these strikes that has been carried out by multiple countries which have been hosting in the Gulf as far as U.S. military bases are concerned. And that seems to be the point as far as whether be it in Jordan, whether be it in Iraq, in Bahrain and Kuwait. In fact, in Jordan, there has been American soldiers' casualties as well, and to which President Trump has been saying that he has been vowing that he will avenge the killing of the American soldiers. So that seems to be the point that we are now looking at when it comes to the situation in the Middle East. Now, the U.S. Central Command, which has announced that the American forces, which have launched another round of strikes against Iranian military targets. In a statement, CENTCOM has said that the operation that began at around 5:30 Eastern Time and on the direction of the Commander-in-Chief, and will continue to further degrade Iran's capability of threatening civilian mariners and also commercial vessels transiting the regional waters. And this is coming at a time when yet another commercial tanker that has been hit off the coast of Saudi Arabia, and it is still unclear of how many crew members were there on board, but news reports suggest that there was a fire on board that was reported. Let's in the meantime connect with Mayank. Mayank, U.S. military says new round of strikes on Iran underway. Iran also not ready for talks.
Yeah, see, the goal remains here that the degradation of the capital.
Well, bad connection with you. Mayank will just try to re-establish that. But we are now looking at updates that are now coming in, because several of the civilian infrastructure has also come under attack, and the U.S. military launching more waves of these strikes that has now been carried out. And the Pentagon that continues to insist that the Strait of Hormuz still remains open, but there has been weeks of renewed Iranian attacks on ships, and the traffic through this very vital waterway has slowed again, and it seems to be affecting the global oil prices promptly. Let's in the meantime also talk about adjoining Gulf regions. Several of the countries that have U.S. military bases that have come under attack, and the Kuwaiti army says that its air defense systems were working to intercept what it describes as hostile drones following Iranian aggression. Now, the military has clarified that any explosion sounds heard in the country are due to the ongoing interception and the operations that have continued, urging residents to follow all security protocols that are necessary. So that is now coming across as President Trump has also been issuing warnings that civilian infrastructure such as bridges and power plants could also come under attack. And this is every time a new attack by Iran on any ship or any commercial tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. That seems to be a straight-out warning that has come. As far as U.S. military bases are concerned, they have come under repeated attack. Kuwait says its army is working to intercept Iranian drones, and the US allied Gulf state has come under frequent Iranian attack, and particularly when we are looking at after rounds of US strikes on Iran. So 12th straight night, what we are now looking at, as the US military says that they are intending to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten civilian mariners and commercial vessels that are transiting the regional waters. Yes, Mayank, we are now looking at 12th consecutive night.
Amita, the main aim is actually no threat lurks around Strait of Hormuz, and that has become the main goal of this entire operation, which is taking place since last 12 days. It is there because one single, these highly intensive capital, oriented mariners, which can be cargo on even one marine vessel can be up to billions. So even if a basic threat is there, no one wants to move from that side. Thus, it is important that not even a single level of or a basic level of threat is lurking around Strait of Hormuz. That's the goal. So having said that, what is important is actually Iran or US is trying to find out that Iran is not able to raise or to fire even single missile or drone in that case. For that case, they are trying to continue the operation in such a way that they are able to identify any silo or any infrastructure which is able to fire missile or launch a drone. Thus, they have continued, and they have continued in multiple layers, that once anything is fired from Iranian side, it is identified, and then again a wave of operation is launched. That's why you see that the central command, which has been coming out with statements saying that there are multiple layers, multiple waves of operation which are taking place from that side. So the goal remains to make the movement within Strait of Hormuz smooth. But then what we also forget is that there had been multiple mines, and as per the MOU, which is not being honored by both sides, is actually there was 30 days time period amidst which the mines had to be cleared. But then from Iranian side, they are also not leaving anything lesser than firing missiles on any point or any base, even if it has been extended towards Jordan. Yes. And they are also trying to fire missiles and drones, and they continue to fire multiple kind of missiles. Amita, thus what you see is actually there's no let up as far as the things is concerned, and things have moved back to the kind of position wherein we had been talking about 39-day war, when there was their volley of missiles.
Was what we are now looking at, because of course Iranian military capability is nothing in front of the US military, but still at this moment, despite limited capabilities, they have managed to inflict significant damage. In fact, when it comes to renewed strikes, we are now looking at, there has been US combat casualties that have also been reported. Let's in the meantime also talk about another commercial vessel coming under attack, and this is the information being shared by the UK Maritime Trade Operations that has spoken about a ship or a tanker around 70 nautical miles off the coast of Saudi Arabia, and according to the UK MTO, the master of the tanker has reported that the vessel was struck by an unknown projectile, triggering a fire on board. The crew, which is battling the blaze while the incident still remains under investigation, and that is now coming across as the UK MTO has now given out this information of a commercial tanker also coming under attack, and this is off the coast of Saudi Arabia. Let's in the meantime also talk about what Iran's IRGC has to say, because they are now claiming that at least 3 oil tankers attempted to transit the southern corridor of the Strait of Hormuz if what it described as American encouragement. Now, the IRGC alleges that one tanker suffered a major explosion and caught fire, forcing the other 2 to retreat, and it warned if any vessel attempting of what it called as uncoordinated transit would face similar consequences. So again, Mayank, this is where the contradiction lies. President Trump says Strait of Hormuz is open and clear. Meanwhile, IRGC continues to attack commercial vessels who seems to be transiting through that critical waterway.
Amita, that's the point which I was trying to make earlier, saying that the waves of attack are for that reason only. Anything which is being identified as offensive operational base is being attacked from the US forces. And here what we see is actually, it's sort of testing the waters. Let's say that degradation has taken place, or there is a kind of analysis that they had been, or the US forces have been able to degrade the capabilities of Iran to an extent that they won't be able to fire the missiles. Thus some kind of a testing takes place. Otherwise, even if a basic threat looms around the Strait of Hormuz, then no cargo or a merchant vessel ship will be allowed to move from that side. Iran has, right from the beginning, Iran has been making statements that it is them who will be not only identify the corridor of movement within Strait of Hormuz, but they are the one who will be regulating or giving permissions. But herein, it's sort of a testing waters. Like, let's say the US forces have been able to destroy the multiple layers or multiple coastal batteries in that case. Also in the deeper geographical areas, if they have been able to destroy the launching positions, they are testing the waters. Or maybe these vessels which are moving from that side, they were in a position or they were under the compulsions to move. But Iranians have been making clear right from the beginning that they won't allow anything if the permission has not been taken or has been granted by the IRGC.
Yes.
And there's an identified corridor, because towards the Gulf of Oman, while the certain merchant vessels were trying to move from the southern portion of Strait of Hormuz, hugging closer to the coastal areas, even then Iran had come in and they had been firing missiles on the merchant vessels in that case also. Thus, they have proclaimed that the control and regulation as far as southern Strait of Hormuz is concerned remains with IRGC.
Absolutely,
Amita.
because that seems to be the contradiction where it lies. But further details are awaited as far as this particular incident is concerned, and contradictions that lie when it comes to the statements coming in from the American side, and of course what in reality seems to be happening in this critical waterway. Mayank, for the moment, thank you very much for joining in.